Today is Wednesday, March the 7th. Now on Monday, I'm going to be leaving from Toronto International Airport and I'm going to be flying to Manchester, England. Once there, I'll be picking up my rental car and I'll be heading north. Now I arrive there in the early hours of the morning, probably around 6 o'clock in the morning I arrive in Manchester. I have a car rental booked and I'll be heading north and then up the M6 and then cutting off the M6 and heading northeast into the Yorkshire Dales. And there we will spend the day photographing Ribblehead Viaduct and hiking and photographing the fells behind that viaduct. At the end of that day, we're going to head further north and west again into the Lake District to the town of Keswick. There we're going to spend the next 7 days photographing the Lake District. Now, if you're regular viewers to my channel, you'll probably already know that last year I also did somewhat the same. I spent a day photographing the Yorkshire Dales and I spent a week photographing the Lake District. Both of those areas are things you cannot photograph in a week. I don't know if you could photograph them in a lifetime. But we're going back this March, almost a year to the date, to continue where we left off last March. Hey, Gary here with Gary Clayton Photography. Welcome to my YouTube channel. And you know what? I thought this time, the last time we did a video about going to England, we did shots of the aeroplane and so on. We're not going to do that. I'm going to pick you guys up again at the Manchester airport once I've got my rental car. But what I did want to do was a video on the gear I'm taking with me, simply because at the camera clubs and so on that I belong to, they say, okay, Gary, you're going on these trips. You go to Iceland, you go to England, you go all over the place. What do you take with you? Do you take a lot of gear? Do you take a bit of gear? What do you take? I thought I'd do a video on that today. So let's begin. So, okay. I take my Canon 5D Mark II body, full frame. That's probably my lead camera on this particular photography expedition, simply because I really, really like this camera. My backup camera, my second camera, which could just as easily be the lead camera, it's probably a slightly better camera than the 5D Mark II, is a Canon 6D. Now again, if you've been watching my YouTube videos, especially just recently, you'll know that this particular camera is a relatively new addition to our equipment list. It's doing a great job. I'm very happy with it. We're going to take it with us. Lenses. Okay, so I'm going to take with me my Canon 28 to 135mm lens. This is my everyday kind of go-to lens. I use this for a lot of things. So I would not leave home without it. I'm going to be taking it with me. I'm also going to be taking a wide lens. I'm going to be taking my Canon 17 to 40 L series f4 lens. This is my wide lens, comes with a hood, just like the 28 to 135. Great lens. I use this a lot for landscape, which is what we're going to be doing in England. So hey, it's got to come with me. Another lens I'm taking with me, and again, a relatively new addition to my collection of equipment, is my Sigma 70 to 200mm. Now, this particular lens also doubles as my a primary kind of lens in my wedding photography shoots. So this particular one is an f2.8. It is stabilized. I know when you're out hiking a lot of mountain trails and fells and so on around the Lake District, weight is a concern. And I thought about, okay, maybe I'll just get the f4 non-stabilized. But again, it's really not good for me for the wedding side of things. So I went with the f2.8 stabilized 70 to 200 by Sigma. It's a great lens. I love this guy. Now, I also take, one little point of interest. On the 5D Mark II and the 6D, they both take the same battery. It's great. So I take 4 batteries with me. I take 2 battery chargers. I always have a backup, but I can charge either battery and either charger for either of those 2 cameras. That's a great deal. Cable release, a must. L bracket, for me, a must. I use this thing all the time. A wrist strap. I do a lot of kind of, what would you call it, shooting from the hip, kind of off the cuff. Walk about town, walk about wherever, grabbing shots, and I do set up a wrist strap on my camera and I love it. I cannot stand a strap around my neck, but the wrist strap, I love it. It's great. So I'll be taking it with me. Now, filters. I'll be taking a 72mm CPL. circular polarizing filter. This fits my 70 to 200. It also fits my 17 to 40. I'll be taking a 72 mil variable circular ND filter. I love this. I've changed from the square kind of format of ND filters. When I say I've changed from, I'm working on changing from, into circular ND filters. So I'm really trying it out, but this is actually the only ND filter I'm going to take with me because it's the only one I have right now. And again, this will fit my 70 to 200 and my 17 to 40 mil. I have a 77 mil CPL circular polarizer. This fits my 28 to 135 mil Canon lens. So I'll be taking that with me. That's primarily just the filters I'm going to be taking. As far as vlogging goes, I'm going to be taking with me my GoPro 5 Black, which is what I'm using right now to record this video. Just about all the videos you see on my YouTube channel are all created with that GoPro. So it's the GoPro 5 Black, and I'll be taking that with me. I'll also be taking a GoPro Hero 3 Plus Black with an extra microphone, and again, another microphone plus the microphone we're using today. So I'll have 3 microphones as backups. I'll have a second GoPro as a backup. I don't want to get to all those places and travel that far and not have the equipment I need. Now, with GoPros in mind, I take an articulated GoPro selfie stick, use this all the time, great tool. I take a suction mount. This is well, I use it for many things, but I use this a lot in the car. If I'm recording video footage in the car, I'll use this suction mount for that. I also take a grip mount for my GoPros. Again, useful tool. I take with me a headlight. All the time, you know as well as I do, we're out there early on a morning, we're out there late on a night, we're on trails, we're up the side of mountains. We need a reliable headlight. And so I do take mine with me. I use it all the time. Cleaning supplies, bubble blower. You can't have enough really cleaning supplies, and it's really important to keep everything clean. So in here I have 2 cleaning cloths. I have small Q-tip type swabs. I have sensor cleaning tools for my full frame camera with sensor cleaning solution, lens cleaning solution, a lens brush, a couple of other little odds and ends. You've got to have a good cleaning kit when you go on any kind of trip like that. Electricity, controlling electricity, power in general. You know what? First of all, which I don't have on this table, is I do take a portable battery pack charger, which I can use for many things, such as my cell phone, my GoPro 5, my GoPro 3, and I can charge from that. But I also take a dual port USB cigarette lighter connector for charging in the car. This is valuable because if I'm going from one location to another, I can be charging GoPros, phones, whatever it is I need to charge with that. Now, something else that might not be as common on an everyday usage, but I use it a lot, and this particular charger, now this is a charger, again, it fits into the cigarette lighter of your car. It has one USB port, but what it has is a mains. What I mean by mains is the same electricity I have in my home. So here in North America, we use 110 volts. So this will create 110 volts from the 12 volts of the car system. Plug it into the cigarette lighter, and I can power things that you would normally plug into the socket receptacle on the wall in your house with this. Also for charging, or for electricity, in England they use, I think it's 220 or 240, I think it's 240 volts. So I have an adapter here that will allow me to plug in just about anything I would use in North America, and I can plug this into the wall with this 3-pronged connector for what they use in England. Also, another 3-prong connector for England without the adapter, if you will, or the converter for electricity, because on your laptops, battery charging systems and so on, they will normally accept rather 110 or 240 volts. So I take those with me, really important. I take a card reader. Now, with a card reader, of course, you're also going to take with you something to download that to. Now, I take with me my 15-inch laptop, which is an IBM Levino ThinkPad. This is a great T520i. It's i3. I've had this for a few years now. It's a little bit slow now, especially for editing, but I don't do a lot of editing while I'm there. But what I do is, every day, Every single day I back up all my images, I back up all my files. Super important. You definitely don't want to go all that distance and lose data. So I back up everything from my cards to my laptop on the hard drive. From my laptop I then back up each day into USB sticks, and I take quite a few USB sticks. I don't take large ones. Each one of these are 8 gig. If for some reason I lost some data from one of these, it's not the end of the world. I'm not losing everything if I use a 128 gig single USB stick. But having said that, once I've downloaded from the camera cards into the laptop and onto the USB stick, I also transfer onto an external hard drive. So by the time I get back to Canada, or at the end of each day, I have 3 copies of that day's activities or that day's data. So I should not have a problem with that. With those things in mind, I take a micro SD card reader. This is for drone footage or GoPro footage and so on, so I can download that too. The Canon 5D Mark II takes CF cards. The Canon 6D, it takes SD cards. I take several of each of these, and then of course I take backup micro SD cards. I take with me a sturdy tripod. Not the most expensive tripod in the world. It's a little on the heavy side. It's aluminum, but it's not too bad. England, especially in the Yorkshire Dales, can be really quite windy. In fact, gale force winds at times. So I do take this with me. It's a good tripod for that. I've used it in Iceland, used it in England, used it in many different places under many different conditions, and it's always done a reasonable job for me. So that tripod goes with me. Now, a dilemma when it comes to drones. My primary drone that I use for just about everything is my Phantom 3 Standard, which I love it, by the way. I mean, it performs amazingly. And of course, it comes with its remote control. My last trip to Iceland, I didn't take a drone with me at all because I was a little concerned. How am I going to get that along some of the trails with the other gear that I need to take? When I went to England last March, I did take it with me. And I was really, really glad I did, but at times it was inconvenient, and those times I did not have it with me at the top of some mountain or some fell, and I didn't have the drone with me because I simply couldn't get it up there with my other gear. And I wish I had it because the footage would have been amazing. So with that in mind, about 2 weeks ago, I purchased, and if you've seen some recent videos, you'll see me talk about this. This little drone here is a Unique Breeze. This is not a review about the Unique Breeze. We'll get to that down the road. But you know what? For the last 2 weeks that I've had this, I've been using it on a daily basis several times. I've had no issues that I'm really aware of. But there is a learning curve to it, that's for sure. And it's totally different. It is not a Phantom 3, that's for sure. But it weighs less than a pound. It's a tiny little package that fits into this hard plastic case. Great protection. Throw this in your backpack climbing up the hills, no problems whatsoever. It does a pretty decent job. As far as controlling this drone, it controls great. You can control it from your cell phone, tablet, whatever. You can also control it from your remote. Either way, it's a small package. And for that reason, I'm taking this with me. One of the downfalls, the biggest downfall I can see with this particular drone is, unlike the Phantom series, which has a gimbal camera, this does not. Now, the camera on this particular drone is dampened from vibration, and it's also digitally stabilized at 1080p. It does shoot 4K, but there's no digital stabilization there. It also shoots 720p at 60 frames. So 1080p at 30 frames. So that's the drone I'm taking with me. For better or worse, I'm going to take it with me. There are some issues with a little bit of shaky video footage, but while I've had this drone, it's been pretty windy here in Ontario. So I don't know, maybe on camera conditions, I'll get some better results. But I've had acceptable results. Not the greatest results, but acceptable results with it. So yeah, and we have done before a review on this particular bag. This is my Utility Max bag. This one I bought with the Phantom 3 in mind and my DSLR gear, and it will do the job. But I'll still use the same bag with the equipment on this particular trip because that's why I bought it. And what I'm going to do, by the way, this is a great bag for the money. It was 70 whatever dollars, I believe, 75, 78 dollars, I forget exactly, Canadian, delivered to my door. I'm going to put a link up right now, right here, to the review video I did on this bag, because it might be something you're interested in. It's a good bag for the money. You don't need to spend a fortune. So that's the bag that I'll take all this gear in, or the gear that I'm using on a daily basis. I don't take all this along the trails on a daily basis. I'll take a camera body, I'll take lenses, I'll take my GoPro, and of course my drone, some backup stuff, and that's about it. So hey, I hope you guys may have found this video useful. It's useful to me because it helps me get all my gear out on the table to make sure I don't forget anything anyhow when I'm packing all this into my bags. So I hope you find this useful and interesting, and if you do, please like, share, leave a comment. I'd love to know the gear that you're using, especially when you're out on the trails looking for those landscape images, what you're taking with you and how you're getting it to the places you go to. And remember, do subscribe. That's so important to me. Hey, I'll pick you up in Manchester, England as we start to head north to the Yorkshire Dales. But for now, I'll talk to you later. Have a great day. Bye-bye.